Hello, Joanne Andrus here to help you know how to hold your bow. Okay, one of the things that's really important about playing the violin or viola is how to hold your bow. Okay, when we don't hold it correctly, it can be a detriment to making progress. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you some different techniques that will be very helpful in learning how to hold it correctly. Okay? All right, so first of all, let's start with our thumb. The thumb, we want to make sure that we're not thinking about using this part of our thumb, the tip of our thumb. Okay? It's actually the side of the tip. Okay? And actually, if you'll take your third finger, your middle finger, and put it directly across from your thumb, that is where your thumb is going to be holding the bow, right there. Okay, that's going to come in handy later. Okay, so remember that. So this thumb, this part of your thumb, goes in a really cool place on your bow. Okay, this is the frog of the bow. Okay, this is the screw, the tightening screw. Okay, so we've already tightened the bow. This is called the grip or the winding. Okay, this is actually usually really fine wire that's wound around the stick to protect it and to keep the stick from getting worn out because you practice so much, right? So, okay, now what I'm going to do is show you how this part of your thumb fits into this little crevice that's right in between the winding and the frog. The frog has this really cool little crook right here that a lot of people think, oh, that's exactly where you put your thumb so that you can hold on to the bow because it just fits right in there. Well, guess what? It doesn't stay in there. It slips out really, really easily. So it's important to remember that that is not where your thumb goes. Okay? Your thumb actually goes in between the winding and the frog. Okay? In that little spot. See that? Okay, so that's where your thumb goes, right in that little crook. Okay, now remember how we had our third finger across from our thumb and that made our thumb bend in the right direction. That's what we want. We want a mountain thumb. Okay, that should be sticking up, not like that. Okay, it's not straight. Why? Because that is not a flexible joint. Okay, we want flexibility in our bow hand. So we've got to have these curves so that we have flexible joints as we hold the bow. Okay, so your thumb goes here. Third finger, or your middle finger actually goes opposite the thumb right there. Okay, and notice that it's barely kind of touching, but you're not really so concerned about that. You just want it to make sure that it's over the top of the stick. We don't want it on top of the stick. We want it over the top, okay? These two fingers on either side go over the top of the stick. The only one that's on top is our pinky, okay? The pinky is our stabilization finger. That actually is holding the bow and giving us some stability with how we're able to keep pressure on our bow as we draw it along the strings. Okay, so it's really important. Thumb curved out across from your third finger. The other finger's over the top, pinky on top of the stick. Okay, notice that it's not clear down here, that I haven't spread my fingers way out like this. Okay, that just kind of makes it not very stable. Okay, we want to make sure that we keep those fingers, they're not like close together either, right? They're comfortably extended just a little bit in between with the pinky on top. Okay? The other thing I want to point out is that my fingers are leaning. They're not straight, because look what that did to my thumb. Okay? Nope, that's not what we want to do. We want your thumb, remember, to stay curving out that direction. So it's actually going to help if we lean the fingers towards the tip. Okay, so these knuckles are pointing us toward the tip of the bow. All right? Okay, so as you are learning how to do this, it's good to practice this little exercise. It's called the spider. Okay, so we just go up and down the bow stick, trying not to touch the bow hairs, with our fingers. Okay, like that. That helps to kind of get some dexterity, some flexibility, and to make sure that we're holding it really loosely. Okay, we don't want to have this death grip on the bow. Okay, now another thing, we want to make sure as we're drawing the bow that we have the elbow kind of even with the wrist. Okay, there's definitely some flexibility. Okay, we're moving the wrist, we're moving the fingers, we're flexing, we are releasing. Okay, as we come up, we're actually getting a little bit more curved at the frog. And then as we draw the bow, we can actually kind of straighten those out a little. Okay, they're still curving though. Okay, and then as we get closer to the frog again, we are curving those fingers. Okay, and actually the frog, we end up kind of on the side of the hair, this side of the bow hair. Okay, so this side of the bow hair is on at the frog, and then as we draw the bow, we flatten it so that it's flat haired from the middle to the tip. From the middle to the middle, or from the tip to the middle, excuse me, we have it flat, and then again we're curving, and that ends up tilting the bow away from us a little bit. So notice the stick is away from me. I'm kind of seeing the bow hairs on an angle at the frog. Okay? Another thing that I want to point out with how to draw the bow, we want to make sure that our bow stays within this little section here in between the bridge and the fingerboard. We don't want to end up over the fingerboard. We don't want to end up too close to the bridge because then it's going to make a scratchy sound. Okay, so as we draw the bow, we have to think about elbow high enough so that we have some nice symmetry here. We're not doing this thing, okay? And we're not doing this thing either, okay? You don't want your shoulder to get into it too much. So relax your shoulder, relax it down. And we extend the elbow, okay? We extend the elbow comfortably. We're not pulling around with the shoulder. We're not pulling around with the shoulder. What did that do to the bow? Look at where it is. It's over the fingerboard and it's on a weird angle. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, so you got to make sure that you're extending the elbow out as you draw the bow. Okay, so that we get that really, I'm going to scoot back a little bit so that you can see that. Relaxing on the flat of the bow. Remember, curving makes it go to the side. Okay, so that was on my D string, or for violas, that would have been the G level for your viola. Okay, when I go to my lowest string, notice what happens. My elbow comes up with my wrist. Okay, I didn't leave my elbow down here when I went to the G string. I made it the same level. And again, we are curving. We are relaxing. We are curving. We're staying even in between the bridge and the fingerboard. Okay, trying to keep that straight line. We want the bow to be perpendicular to the string, parallel between the bridge and the fingerboard, okay, the end of the fingerboard. Okay, as we go to the A string, or for violas it would be your D string, notice that my elbow came lower. Right? And notice as I'm doing my bow changes, Then I'm going to my highest string. For the violas, that would be your A string. For the violins, that's our E string. Notice that my elbow dropped down. Do you see how it's still even with my wrist? Okay, so we want that flexibility. We want to have fingers curving and releasing and kind of going in and out as you're playing. Okay, we don't want a death grip on the bow. That's gonna make a very kind of sound, right? We don't want to be sawing the violin. We want to be finessing the violin, okay, and making it beautiful. All right. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you will be very careful how you hold your bow. The more careful you can be at the very beginning of your learning, the easier time you're going to have later, because you're not going to be having to fix things and redo things and relearn things. Okay? Your muscles have memory, and so it's really important that you create the correct technique right from the very, very beginning. Okay? Practice, be careful, and have a lot of fun playing the beautiful instruments of the string family. Thanks.